Hello, everyone. This is your host. There has been a huge decline in the nuclear stockpiles of many countries since the end of the Cold War. But even so, there are still hundreds of nuclear weapons scattered around the world just waiting to be used. And even though most of these weapons are secured, there's always a chance that some of them could fall into the wrong hands, or that terrorists could get a hold of one. So it's important to know what would happen if a nuke went off near us. In today's video, we will be discussing how radiation from nuclear weapons affects our Earth and how it can damage human DNA. Nuclear weapons are among the deadliest weapons ever created by man. They harness the immense power of nuclear fission or fusion reactions to cause massive destruction. The destructive power of a nuclear weapon is measured in terms of its explosive yield, which is usually expressed in kilotons or megatons of TNT. 1 kiloton of TNT is equivalent to 1 million tons of TNT. A megaton is equivalent to 1 million kilotons or 1 billion tons of TNT. When a nuclear weapon explodes, it releases a tremendous amount of energy in the form of light, heat, and radiation. The explosion also generates a fireball which spreads outwards at high speed, consuming all the oxygen in the surrounding area and causing everything to burn. The fireball is followed by a shock wave which can level buildings and knock people off their feet. The explosion of a nuclear weapon in an urban area would cause catastrophic damage, killing or injuring hundreds of thousands of people and destroying countless buildings and infrastructure. The primary victims of a nuclear blast are those who are caught in the immediate vicinity of the explosion. However, the effects of a nuclear blast can be felt far beyond the immediate area of the explosion. The blast wave from a nuclear weapon can travel for miles, causing widespread damage and injuring or killing people over a large area. Additionally, the radiation released by the explosion can have long-lasting effects on human health, increasing the risk of cancer and other health problems. One of the most dangerous aspects of a nuclear weapon is the radiation that they emit. Radiation is energy that is emitted as electromagnetic waves, or as moving subatomic particles. All objects emit some amount of radiation, but the type and amount of radiation emitted by an object depends on its composition and energy state. Nuclear weapons contain highly radioactive materials such as plutonium-239 or enriched uranium-235. When these materials are used to generate nuclear power, the process produces a small amount of radioactive waste. However, when these materials are used in nuclear weapons, the amount of radioactive waste produced is much greater. During a nuclear fission reaction, atoms of the fissile material such as uranium or plutonium are bombarded with neutrons. This causes the atoms to split or fission, releasing energy in the form of heat and radiation. The radiation released during a nuclear fission reaction includes gamma rays, X-rays, neutrons, and alpha and beta particles. Gamma rays and X-rays are high-energy photons, while neutrons are subatomic particles with no electric charge. Alpha particles are made up of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and beta particles are high-energy electrons. Nuclear weapons are designed to release as much of this radiation as possible in a very short period of time. This is why the explosion of a nuclear weapon can have such devastating effects. The radiation released by a nuclear weapon can have a variety of effects on human beings. The type and severity of the effects depend on the amount of radiation absorbed by the body. One of the most well-known effects of radiation is its ability to cause cancer. Cancer is a disease characterized by the uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells. Exposure to high levels of radiation can damage DNA, which can lead to the development of cancer. The risk of developing cancer increases with the amount of radiation exposure. Other health effects of radiation include burns, hair loss, organ damage, and death. Now, it's important to note that not all radiation is harmful. There are different types of radiation and different levels of intensity. Low levels of radiation are used in medical procedures such as X-rays and radiation therapy. These levels of radiation are carefully controlled and monitored to minimize the risk of harm. However, the levels of radiation released by a nuclear weapon are extremely high and pose a significant risk to human health. Exposure to high levels of radiation can cause acute radiation sickness, which can include symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, and even death. Prolonged exposure to lower levels of radiation can also have negative health effects, such as an increased risk of cancer and genetic mutations. In conclusion, the radiation released by nuclear weapons is one of the most dangerous aspects of these weapons. The type and amount of radiation released by a nuclear weapon can have a variety of effects on human beings, including cancer and acute radiation sickness. While low levels of radiation are used in various medical procedures, the levels of radiation released by a nuclear weapon are extremely high and pose a significant risk to human health. It's important to remember that while nuclear weapons are a serious threat, we should always strive to find peaceful solutions to conflict. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please help us grow our small community and be among our first members by subscribing and sharing it with your friends and family. We would love to have you back for our next video. Until then, stay curious and keep learning.